I love a new year. I love the freshness of a new year. It's like a fresh pair of sneakers to me. I like a fresh pair of sneakers. Just feels good to unbox them, not have anything on the bottom of the sole and try to keep it that way. I got a couple pair of sneakers I keep in my office. They don't get to touch the ground outside. They only touch holy ground. That's all they touch. I like the cleanness of a new year. It's kind of wipe the slate clean. I was talking to a friend of mine, had lunch this week with him. He said, 2018 was a difficult year for our family. We just had some things in it that we didn't expect, didn't want to happen. And he said it was just good to kind of wipe the slate clean and see the 9 roll on to 2018. We were just ready to get rid of that year. I think for some of us that's the case. And just the freshness, the newness, get to forget the past just a little bit. I know that the simple turning of a calendar doesn't allow us really to not have the past have happened. It still happened, it still hurts, it's still there, but there's just something about having a new year. A new year where we can ask ourselves, like, God, what do you want to do with me? Where we can ask ourselves this question, what do you want me to be? What do I want to be? It's a brand new start, really, to who you want to be. In fact, that's a good question, isn't it? Have you ever asked yourself, who do you want to be? Who do you really want to be? What do you want to do with your life? More importantly than that, have you asked God who He wants you to be? God, who do you want me to be? Like, what do you want me to be about? What do you want this new year for me to experience, and the new me that's going to be in this year? What is that going to look like? What do you want me to be, God? Who do you want me to be? I think it was Aristotle who said, you are what you repeatedly do. That's who you are. That's what you become, is what you repeatedly do. So what you do is what you become. Now, can I be honest with you just a little bit? That's a scary thought to me. If you'll just take a hot minute, I bet it'll be a scary thought to you as well. Like, you are what you repeatedly do. What you do is who you will become. So if you repeatedly worry, you are what you repeatedly do. If you repeatedly get angry about everything, always offended, always upset, you are what you repeatedly do. If you repeatedly find fault in everyone and everything around you, you are what you repeatedly do. I know there have been times in my life where what I was doing was not who I wanted to be. You ever had those habits? Something came out, maybe you said something you didn't mean to say, you wished you hadn't have said. You reacted in anger towards someone. You didn't mean to react that way, but you did. You acted around your kids like you didn't want to act. Maybe for you is that you looked at the opposing coach at your Little League game and said, you're up 30-4. Are you really going to trap us at half court this whole game? That's just personal experience from me yesterday. That was just me. But maybe you did something. Yeah, there have been times in my life where that's happened, and a couple years ago, I found myself in this habit when I would do something I didn't want to do. And I found myself in a behavior I didn't want to have, saying something I didn't want to have. That I would say this. I'd say, well, I didn't do that on purpose. You ever said that? Well, I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't say that on purpose. I didn't act that way on purpose. That's not what I meant to be. Or maybe you'd say it a little differently than that. Maybe you'd say it like this. You'd say, you know what? It's not that I didn't say it on purpose. I don't even know where that came from. You say, that really wasn't even me. I don't even know where that came from. What I said, it didn't sound like me. It wasn't like me at all. That wasn't even like me. I don't even know who that was. You would say, I didn't do that on purpose. I was saying that quite a bit a couple years ago, and Connie very gently said to me, she said, what if you were to do what you want to do on purpose? You didn't do that on purpose, but what if you actually had purpose for who you want to be, what you want to do? What if you had some purpose? What if you did that on purpose? You can't argue with a wise woman. Even if you try, you can't win. I said, what if I could do something on purpose? What if I did something on purpose? It's not like me. What if you did something on purpose? So the truth is, you don't become what you hope you will become. Resolutions. How many of you got some resolutions? You got any resolutions? Raise your hand. Don't be embarrassed. I know it's not style anymore. We do words of the year now. We don't do resolutions. Resolutions are hope, right? I hope this will turn out this year. I hope this will happen this year. I hope everything will fall together for me this year. I hope I'll be able to finally accomplish this goal. I hope I'll be able to kick this addiction. I hope I'll be able to change this behavior in my life. But here's the deal. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is great. We need hope, but it's not a strategy. You don't become what you hope. You don't become what you plan to become. Like planning is great. I love planning. I'm a natural planner myself. I like to plan things out. I like to see things on paper. I like to write things down. Statistics show if you write down your goals, I think you're like 70% more possible that you'll get them and accomplish them this year. Writing, by the way, for those of you who are under 30, is what the old people do when we take this stick thing and we kind of write on paper. That's what that is. If you write them down, it shows that it's really good. But planning doesn't really accomplish our goals either. How many of you grew up long enough ago that you remember Palm Pilots? You guys remember Palm Pilots? Remember those? And then before the Palm Pilot, show some age here. How many of you remember daytimers? You remember daytimers at all? You remember those, the written ones? And so the old folks in the room, we would buy these daytimers or these calendars, and you'd buy a fresh one every year. And you'd plan out your goals in the front pages, and you'd plan out some things of how you were going to accomplish it, and you'd write out some things on the first of all the January, and you'd log how you did it. And for me, by about January the 4th, I couldn't even find the daytimer. I didn't even know where it was, because planning is not really the key to everything, because planning doesn't always create results or actions. I could write a lot of things down. I could plan a lot of things. I could hope for a lot of things, but it didn't actually result in actions. But here's what we've learned so far. You actually become what you do, not what you plan for, not what you hope for. You become, let's use this word, you become your habits. You become your habits. That's scary, isn't it? You become your habits. We can say it like this. We are a creature of habit. We're a creature of habit. You maybe don't look like this no-horn, two-eye, purple people eater, but you are a creature of habit. Some of you do have the same rhythm, the same way you do things to everything in your life. In fact, you do things you don't even like to do with people you don't even care to be around, at places you don't ever want to go again, simply because I'm not going to change. Like, I'm just a creature of habit. It's just what I do. You have habits in your life, and you are a creature to them in many, many ways. You're a creature of habit. And habit is an interesting word, isn't it? Because there is nothing inherently evil about the word habit, but we kind of naturally go, when we hear the word habit, to bad habits. Like, it's just something about it. When we think of habits, we think of negative patterns in our lives. Like, we think of negative or bad habits. We think of like smoking, like that you smoke. We think of things like biting your nails. Like, that's a bad habit if you bite your nails. Or we think of things like that. You immediately go to your phone, right? Anytime there's a lull in life at all, you're just like instinctively, pick up your phone. Just pick up your phone. Just pick up your phone. If you've got an iPhone, you ought to look at your screen time, is what it's called. It'll tell you how many times during the day you actually just flip your phone. Just pick it up, Flip your phone. Just flip your phone. You'll be amazed at how many times you do it if you go load that up, because it's our instinct. If there's a lull, it's a habit. It's a bad habit. For some of us, it's just our language, like the language we use. Maybe cursing is a habit for you. You just use words you shouldn't use, and you just kind of got in the habit of your heart of that, like you, especially, I had this guy, it's a funny story. I had this guy in our small group when Connie and I, 15 years ago or so, and we were leading a small group, and he was brand new Christ follower, and he had been very far from God. Our mission statement is to reach people far from God, but they're close to you and they find freedom in Christ. He had found freedom in Christ, but he was very far from God. And we had started in a small group reading the Bible, and just sort of like we ask our small groups to do here at Freedom Church, and just asking, hey, what is God teaching you and what are you going to do about it? And we were having this, and we were sitting around in a circle, and we're going around and like, hey, what did God teach you? What did God teach you? And he got to him and he said, man, I've been reading my Bible the last couple of weeks, and can I just tell you, it is blowing my blanking mind. That's what he said at small group. And the blanking word started with an F. Can you imagine the religious people at that small group, how puckered up they were? They were like, woo, woo. He just said, I haven't heard that word ever in my life. I don't even know what it means. I don't even know. But he had a habit. That's how he expressed himself. He best expressed the Bible through the F-bomb. That was his best life now. And it's a habit. Habits are usually associated with things that we hate to do, but we have been doing it so long, we don't even realize that we're doing it. We're kind of on autopilot. And you just kind of fall into that way. You fall into that pattern. It's just kind of what you've always done. You always do it, and it's just a pattern of your life. And we can see that there's just some bad patterns we can fall into, because habits can be stagnant. It's just us being stale. It's just, this is what we do. We go to work. We do our job at work. We drive home the same way. We change into some comfortable clothes. We eat dinner, get the kids down, we watch some Netflix, we fall asleep on the couch, we go to bed. We do it again. It's just stagnant. This is what we do. Once you change that rhythm up sometimes, just what we do. I'm tired. This is what we do. It's stagnant, and we won't change. You just settle for your life, really. I think there's some people in here who would say, what, I feel like I just settle for my life. Just settle for what's going on, because you value comfort over being better. Habits can honestly, they can be stupid. They can be stupid. Like you keep doing stupid things despite their consequences. You repeat the habits of your parents. You saw what they did, and you do it anyway. You take up the bad habits of things that you've seen people do, and you repeat the habits of your own past. It didn't work before, but you keep doing it the same way over and over and over again. Habits can just be stupid, and I know what we say, man. Everything happens for a reason. Do you know that sometimes that reason is that you are stupid and you make bad choices? Right? You just keep making the same habit over and over again. You've seen other people fail at it. You've failed at it, but we're just not willing to change. Habits can be stubborn. Don't point at your spouse on this one, but it's probably them. It's just stubborn. I'm not changing because you said it'd be good to change in this area, so I'm gonna keep doing it this way even though it hurts. I'm gonna keep this habit in my life because you told me I couldn't do this, and so I'm going to do it. Just stubborn. It's just the way I am. Just who I am. I'm not changing. This is me. I just got to be real. It's just who I am, we say. It's just stubborn. Habits can also be because we're scared. We're scared to change. We're scared to get a new rhythm in our lives, do something different. We're scared to break up the monotony of our lives because at least we know our monotony. At least what we get from this monotonous life we're aware of, but what if we try something new and we fail? What if we really try to be a better husband and yet We still aren't very good at it. What if we actually try to get healthy and yet we don't? What if we try, so we just go, you know what? I'm just not going to try, because at least there's not as much fear in the known, because I know the fear. I know what I'm facing. And so it's just that we're scared. But regardless of whether it's from fear or stubbornness, regardless of whether it's because we just keep making bad choices over and over again, or because we're stagnant, we still go back to this truth. You are what you repeatedly do. In fact, let's say it this way. Over the course of this whole series together, maybe we can ingrain this into our lives. I'd write this down if I was taking notes. I'd write this down if I wasn't taking notes, because I'd start taking notes and I'd write this down. The success of our lives will be determined by the substance of our days. The success that we will have in life will be determined not by what we hope for, not simply by planning something out, but it will be determined by the substance of our days. We are what we repeatedly do. Your finances. I don't know how you would assess your finances right now, but if you would assess them as not successful or successful, I would say your finances are what you repeatedly do, what you've repeatedly done. If you always spend money you don't have on things you don't need, you will find yourself in a very poor financial place. If you always tuck away a little bit of money every single day, just a little bit of money, just kind of tuck away a little bit, you'll have some at the end of the month. It's just what you repeatedly do. If you look at your friendships and you kind of sum them up and go, man, my relationships are not where I want them to be. Your relationships are exactly where the substance of your days has brought your life to. If every time you get close to someone, you shut down because that's what you've always done, and that's the habit of your heart, is I'm just not going to get close to anyone because someone one time hurt me, and so now I assume everybody everywhere will hurt me, then you won't have any great relationships. If every time someone gives you feedback into your life, you call it drama, and you say, I don't do drama, and you walk away because they try to tell you don't look good in biker shorts, if you step away from those every time, you'll never have any real friendships in your life. All you'll have is surface level people who don't have the guts to tell you the things that you need to be told because they struggle with the same things and they like you being a co-laborer in their struggle with them. And so you'll just have surface level friends who go around breaking commandments together. That's all you'll have. But you won't have anybody that's deep, that can really walk with you through some stuff that you can count on. And it's just, if you professionally, if you, every time the boss says you didn't do this correctly, you didn't do this right, gives you some feedback in there, and you go, I don't need this job. If the boss is always wrong, if every job you've been at, and it's been a job every 2 to 3 years for you, the boss has always been an idiot, the stats just don't prove that that's true. Like, it's the Bob principle eventually. You know the Bob principle? If Bob's got a problem with Ellen, and Bob's got a problem with Joe, and Bob's got a problem with Susie, and Bob's got a problem with Bill, it's probably Bob's problem. And eventually you got to go, wait a minute. Maybe professionally I'm not where I want to be because I don't stay in anything long enough to actually get good at it. I don't actually stick with anything long enough to become someone they can count on, because I've proven over and over again by my resume they can't count on me. The substance of our days, and I would even say that starts with our moments, starts with how we handle situations, will lead to the success of our lives. Wherever you evaluate yourself at right now, you can point back to not what you hope for, not what you plan, but what you do. What you do. So, but why do we do this? Why do we spend money that we don't have and get to the end of every month going, we're going to do better next month. We're going to do better. Why do we, on autopilot, find ourselves towards the middle of January floating into a fast food drive-thru when we said we weren't going to do that every single day for lunch anymore? But man, it sounds good to upsize it right now. And so we find ourselves there. Why do we find ourselves there? Why do we find ourselves screaming at our kids in anger, or having that same fight again with our spouse We're on autopilot. We just go there every time. That's where we end up. That's the destination we end up, and we don't know how we got there. Why do we do that? Because at the end of every habit, there is a reward. Good habit, bad habit, it doesn't matter. There's a reward at the end of every single habit. There's a payout. There's some feeling that we get. It feels good to get it off our chest. For those of us in the room that are a little bit high-driven, high kind of, that kind of personality that likes to is not afraid of a confrontation, it feels good, doesn't it, when you get it off your chest? Don't let anybody lie to you and tell you, well, I just felt horrible after I said that. It feels great. It feels wonderful. It feels good after you punch the wall. It feels great. You're like, oh, now you got to go patch it up, and you're the one that's got to fix it and all that mess, but it feels good. It feels great to get it off your chest. It feels wonderful to eat a number 8, 12 count with extra Chick-fil-A sauce. Yes, please large the Diet Coke and the fries, and give me some extra Chick-fil-A sauce, because I'm going to douse every single fry in that mess too. It feels wonderful. And it's Christian chicken, so what can you go wrong? It feels great. Ain't no heathen chicken up in this place, no Popeyes. Feels wonderful. It's a reward. There's a cue. Something in our life that says, this is what you do in this situation. You feel down, you watch Sleepless in Seattle and eat donuts. You get, somebody says something you don't like, you can feel it rising up in you, and you just know it's getting ready to come out. Oh, it's going to be good. It's a cue. It makes you run towards this habit, because there is power in habits. In fact, the Bible teaches us this, but neurology has taught us this as well, is that there is actually grooves that get established in our brain, physical neurological pathways, not just ethereal I'm talking about here. I'm talking about actual real pathways that are in our brain, that are neurological pathways that are the easiest way for the neurons to go, and it's the easiest way for our thoughts to go when something happens. So we get cued and we go to a certain place. How did I end up here? Because it was the path of least resistance in my mind. It was the path it was the easy. When I got angry, this is just where I go. It's very hard to take a different pathway. And that's why resolutions can't change something what routine created. Like, there's a routine that happens. There's a way you handle things. Why do I get down when people say certain things? Why, when I'm challenged, do I get anxious? Why, when I see him coming in the room, do I just get bothered by it? Why can't I talk to her the way I need to, and I can't say what I really feel to her? Why do I need some help doing that sometimes? Because there's a pathway. And you can't believe your way out of problems that patterns have created. And that's what a resolution is, isn't it? I just believe I'm going to be better this year. That's why statistics show us that about 87% of you by the middle of January will have completely blown up your resolutions already by now. Like, you've already given up. You're like me. This week, I've been trying to be healthier. It's something I really need to do in my life. It's a resolution. I don't know if you've got those resolutions that you do every single year. You try them every single year. You want to do better at them every single year. You mean it. You believe it. You know that you need to do this. You know that you need to do that. But for me, what happens for me is, so I don't like to get on a scale that much. I want to be driven more by health than scale. At least that's what I tell myself. What it really is I don't like to see how much I weigh. And so I get on the scale, and I saw this week, I'm like, man, 14 days in, this is going to be great. It's going to be great. And I hadn't lost what I thought I should have lost. You know what my first instinct was? My first instinct, the very first, this is a pathway, and it happens this way most of the time. The pathway is, we should go to West Ashley, because there's Krispy Kreme donuts in West Ashley. And I would like to eat 12 plus the one free one they give you in line right now, because they will melt in my mouth, and that will feel much, 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 much better than stupid healthy, all right? Because healthy, I don't care what, being healthy tastes so much better than a Krispy Kreme. Bull, it does not at all. Kale, it tastes like feet rewarmed, all right? It doesn't taste good at all. All you health people are like once you start eating healthy, all the colors, and it's just so vibrant, and it's so pretty. No, Krispy Kreme and a Reese's, that's what tastes good. Don't believe the lies. You just put some essential oils on it in your water, you'll love drinking water if you just put a little slice of lemon in it. Bull. Diet Coke tastes so much better than lemon water. Sorry, I'm off script. I haven't eaten good food in 14 days. I don't even remember what I was preaching. Can't believe it. There's a pathway. That's where it was. That's where it went for me. I'm just being real with you. I mean, it's honest. I'm just like, forget this. Everybody's used to me being fat anyway. I'll just be fat. Statistics show that even if I lose weight, you'll still see me as fat anyway. So why do I even worry about it? Romans 12:2 tells us, you got to build new habits. You got to build new neurons. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world. That's the habits. Don't copy the habits of this world, but let God transform you into a new person. How do you become a new person? By changing the way that you think. What's the immediate thing you go to? What's the neurons? Where do they take you? Then, there's a then there. Why? Because you got to do something before this will happen. What do you have to do? You have to change your thinking. How do you change your thinking? You have new habits, new ways of thinking. Then you will learn to know God's will for you. You want to know God's will for your life? You're going to have to change your habits first. Because your habits right now take you on a pathway to somewhere that God doesn't want you to be. The habits of your life right now don't take you towards God. And that's good, and it's pleasing, and it's perfect for you. In just a few moments that we have remaining, I want to set our series up just a little bit more. I want to encourage you to be here for this whole series. We're going to walk through what does it look like to truly change our habits? How do we become the creature of habit that is a creature of habit running towards positive habits in our life? And I want to set it up with the backdrop to this whole series, creature of habit, being the story of Daniel in the Old Testament. I just want to set up just the basics of who he was today and what I believe his secret sauce for him was of having these habits in his life that we can learn from. Story of Daniel starts around 605 BC, and Nebuchadnezzar takes over Judah. And Nebuchadnezzar is a king who his strategy really was to go into places and he would rip out all of the young men from the enemy land, thus stealing all of their capability to be able to defend themselves, and also adding to his army. And so he would retrain them, assimilate them into his culture, and then he had a bigger army to go and take over more enemies. And Daniel and a few of his friends are part of the many, many Israelite boys who are taken into captivity by King Nebuchadnezzar and his troops and starting to be assimilated into that culture. And we start to learn about Daniel, and what we see with him is that his life becomes a testimony to us, because his life really is a light pointing to the power of a habit, the power of a habitual life, the power that lies within being a creature of habit. What we do is what we become. And so Daniel and his friends, they rise to power in a great way, and I want us to see how they do that. But I also want us to see what was against them. Because there's something, can I just tell you, there's someone and there's something against you becoming who God wants you to be. There's an enemy of your soul who does not want you to be who God wants you to be. He wants you to continue to wallow in the habits that you have, to continue to allow the neurological paths to take you to those places, because he wants you to continuously, day by day, add up your life to be the substance of your days, but he's got a completely different definition of what he'd like that substance to be. And so he's fighting against it. So let's see the fight against him. Daniel chapter 1, verse 5 starts off. Says, as a part of their assimilation into the Babylonian court life. So there was a plan to assimilate them into culture. There is a plan to assimilate you into this culture. The culture has a very, very in-depth, smart, devious plan to get you into their culture, and they will do it. How do they do it? As a part of their assimilation into Babylonian court life, the king offered them a daily portion of food and wine from his own table. Everybody shout out, daily. The substance of your days will add up to the success of your life. It's a pattern. It's a habit. It's what we do moment after moment, day after day, is what I become. The success of your life will be determined by the substance of your days. King Nebuchadnezzar knew this. It was a daily routine. They were to be educated for 3 years before serving in the king's court. From among Judah's exiles, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were selected. Ashpenaz, the chief of the royal eunuchs, gave them, listen to this, Babylonian names to signify their new identities in a foreign place. Daniel, he renamed Belteshazzar, Hananiah, Shadrach, Mishael, Meshach, and Azariah, Abednego. I want to tell you, look at me. Everyone, including God, has a name for you, an identity for you. Everyone is wanting to give you a new name. The important thing is that you accept that God has the name that is your rightful name. See, they were wanting to give them a new name. And if you accept the name that they give you, if you accept that, I don't care who it is. I'm talking about your spouse. I'm talking about your friends. I'm not just talking about your enemies. Everybody has a name for you. And if you accept anything other than the identity that God would want to give you, you will be settling for less in your life. A part of the assimilation into this culture will be that this culture will say, no, this is who you are. You are defined by your past. You are defined by your failures. You are defined by what you did. You are defined by what you continue to do. And God says, no, I've got a new name for you. I have an identity for you. I've already given you a name and it's paid for. And he says, I've got a name for you. Your habits, this is what it shows us. The daily routine of your life will change your identity. The daily routine of your life will change who you are. I don't like who I am. Then you need to change the routine of your life. I don't like what I've accomplished so far in life, but then you need to change the routine of your life. I don't think I'm close enough to God, then you need to change the routine of your life. And there is a God who has a future for you. There's a God who has a purpose for you. There's a God who's got a name for you, an identity for you. And because he has a name, he has a plan. He has a job for you as well. And don't let your habits decide who you are, therefore deciding your identity. Let your identity and who you are decide what you would do every day. Let your identity say, no, I'm the boss over this situation. I'm in charge of this situation. Who I am is going to affect what I do, and therefore what I do will be who I am. Because the substance of my days will add up to who I am. Let me ask you that. Do the substance of your days really add up to who you say you are? I thought about this the other day. I thought, if someone were to just show up from out of nowhere, didn't have a clue who I was, and they could follow me around for a week, and they would write down what I did. They would write down who I talked to. They would write down who I spent time with. They would write down what I gave my life to for a week. Would they write the same vision statement for my life, assumed vision statement that I would say I have for my life? I mean, I think all of us here would say, I want to be more like Jesus. What are you doing every day to be more like Jesus? I mean, are you reading about him? I mean, let's get real for a minute. Let's just be real for a minute. If you were to look at the substance of your days, are you more likely to be more like the people you follow on Instagram tomorrow than you are to be like Jesus? I mean, are you more likely? Do you know more about the Kardashians than you know Jesus? Like, are you more likely to? Do you read People magazine? I'm not trying to. It's not guilt. I'm just asking a question. If we are what we do and we become what we do and the substance of our days is what we do, I mean, are you just at the end of your life going to be someone who is really good at your job? Because that's what you put your life into. What are the habits of your heart say that you love? What are the habits of your heart say that you appreciate? Because you said you were going to change. You blew up one marriage because you had some bad habits. And you said, I'm not going to work too much. I'm going to have the right habits in my life. I'm not going to do that again. And yet now, if you were to really survey your life, you would go, what I really love is work. What I'm really going to be is better at my job tomorrow than I was yesterday. But I don't know that I'm a better wife. I don't know that I'm a better husband. I say I want to be more like Jesus, but honestly, I haven't studied what he did and what he said enough to even know what that would look like. How would one know if they're like Jesus if they don't know Jesus? And so I'm just asking myself, does the substance of my days actually add up to who and what I say I want to be? Because if it doesn't, then it's out of line. And if it doesn't, then I'm just walking around following every feeling, every neurological path. Well, I mean, I feel like if I worked more, I would be more stable. What she really wants is us to have more money. That gives her confidence in me. Or what she's really wanting is you and time with you. She'd give up some of the money if she could just have you. I mean, I don't know any other way to parent. I mean, how do you do this except to follow the path? And so we're letting our feelings dictate what we do, and we're just wandering around as a parent. I wonder what would happen if we allowed our faith to dictate our habits more than our feelings. I wonder if the power of the habit could be turned on its head if we allowed that to happen. And listen, although the king ate only the finest Babylonian fare, Daniel was determined not to violate God's law and defile himself by eating the food and drinking the wine that came from the king's table. So he asked the chief of the royal eunuchs for permission not to eat the food. So there was a daily regimen, there was a daily routine, there was a routine that he was supposed to follow, there was a habit that he was supposed to live under. This is how it was supposed to be. But Daniel was, what does it say? He was determined. He was determined. See, there's a difference between resolutions and determination. Resolutions say, if it's easy and I hope it turns out and I plan for it to. Determination is when we make a decision in advance about what we're going to do when something happens. Determination is, I've already decided what I'm going to do. I've already decided what my day will look like. I've already decided where my money will be spent. I've already decided how I'm going to react to anger. I've already decided how I'm going to react to disappointment. I've already decided what I'm going to eat tomorrow. I've already decided. I've determined. There's a difference. And let me just give you one illustration. So my daughter, Isabel, she's 13. She's been wanting to play basketball for about last year and a half. We've been playing basketball together out in the yard, and she's been getting better and better and better. And she said, I really want to play against, in a league and see if I can play basketball on a team. So we started looking all over the place, trying to find a league that had girls' teams, and we couldn't ever find a league that had an all-girls team. And so we kept trying. Finally, we found out about this league that was happening that didn't have an all-girls team either, but it was kind of the last shot of the year to get in a league. And so I said, Izzy, you want to give it a try? I mean, there might be other girls in it. There might not. I don't know what's going to happen. She said, yes, let's just do it. So we went out and got our new pair of LeBrons, of course. And then she got settled into practice schedule and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things she had said to me early on, she said, Dad, the only way I'll play, only way I want to play is if there's no games and there's no practice on Wednesday nights. Because on Wednesday nights, I go to Freedom Youth, and that's what I do. And that's what I do. That's who I am. She said, so you just got to make sure. So I'd asked the league commissioner. I said, hey, no practice, no games on Wednesday nights. He said, no, we don't have practice. We don't have games on Wednesday nights. So first week in January, we get the schedule for practices. We've done some random practices, but we get the schedule for the real practice. And guess what? Wednesday night practices. So I told Izzy about it. I said, Izzy, it's on Wednesday. I didn't even get whip out of my mouth before she said, well, I'm not going to practice. I'm not going because I go to Freedom Youth. That's what I do. She'd already determined in her heart what was going to happen. She'd already decided. Now, can't tell the whole story, but we kind of said, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what we stand for. This is our vision for our life. This is who our family is. She'll take the consequences. She won't be at practice. You know what? The coach changed the night of the practice because he said, I want her to be there. Sometimes you just got to stand up and say, I've already decided what I'm doing. I've already determined what I'm doing. I wonder if I've got a church that has decided what they're going to do in 2019. I wonder if I've got a group of people that's already determined that I'm going to follow Jesus. I'm not turning back on him this year. I don't care if anybody goes with me or not. I've already decided what I'm going to do. I've already determined what I'm going to do. I wonder if I've got a church that says, I've decided how I'm going to live my life. I've decided what the substance of my days are going to be. I've already determined it. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to decide anymore because I've said he sits on the throne. He's the king of everything, and I'm a child of the king. I wonder if I've got a group of people who's already decided your identity. You already said, this is who I am. I don't do that. I don't go there. I don't participate in that because this is who I am. I've already determined who I am. I've already decided who I am. I don't have to make a choice. There's no choice to be made. I'm following Christ. That's who I follow. Because I've already determined who I am. Stay standing. I'm almost done. Look at the last verse. Give me my last verse. The next one. The next one. I'll get it from my own. I can't get it on my own. It's gone. Anyway, Daniel says, would you allow me to do this? I won't eat. I won't drink. You just allow us to eat what we want to eat, drink what we want to drink. Let us do it God's way. I've determined how I'm going to do it. The chief of the royal eunuchs comes back, and the Bible says he looked them over. He said, they look better than the rest of the men. Can I just tell you, God's habits for your life, which we're going to talk about over the next 3 weeks. Make sure you come back. God's habits for your life will add up to a more successful life than anything you could ever pick. Anything you think would get you to a better place, he's got a better way. And the chief of the eunuchs looked him over and said, you keep doing what you're doing because that looks good. You keep doing it God's way because that looks good. You keep doing it. And here's what I want to tell you. If God did it for Daniel, he can do it for you. If God did it in your life before, he can do it again. If he showed up before you in one circumstance, he can show up on another. If he's done it before, he can do it again. Say, do it again. Do it again. If he's done it before, he can do it again. If he's done it before, he can. If he's done it before, he can do it again. He's ready to show up. I just need to know if you're determined. I need to know if you're ready. I need to know if you're ready for this year. Give God all you've got, and he'll give you everything you need. Be determined. Do it again, God. We're praying.